We're on chapter 12, which is called We Get Advice from a Poodle. We were pretty miserable that night. We camped out in the woods 100 yards from the main road in a marshy clearing that local kids had obviously been using for parties. The ground was littered with flattened soda cans and fast food wrappers. We'd taken some food and blankets from Auntie M's, but we didn't dare light a fire to dry our damp clothes. The Furies and Medusa had provided enough excitement for one day. We didn't want to attract anything else. We decided to sleep in shifts. I volunteered to take first watch. Annabeth curled up in blankets and was snoring as soon as her head hit the ground. Grover fluttered with his flying shoes at the lowest bough of a tree, put his back to the trunk, and stared at the night sky. Go ahead and sleep, I told him. I'll wake you if there's trouble. He nodded, but still didn't close his eyes. It makes me sad, Percy. What does? The fact that you signed up for this stupid quest? No, this makes me sad. He pointed at all the garbage on the ground. And the sky, you can't even see the stars. They polluted the sky. That's a terrible time to be a satyr. Oh, yeah, I guess you'd be an environmentalist. He glared at me. Only a human wouldn't be. Your species is clogging up the world so fast. Never mind. It's useless to lecture a human. At the rate things are going, I'll never find Pan. Pam? Like cooking spray? Pan! P-A-N, the great god Pan. What do you think I want my searcher's license for? A strange breeze rusted through the clearing, temporarily overpowering the stink of trash and muck. It brought the smell of berries and wildfires and clean rainwater. Things that might have been in these woods. Suddenly I was nostalgic for something I had never known. Tell me about this search, I said. Grover looked at me cautiously, as if I were afraid of just making fun of him. The god of wild places disappeared 2,000 years ago, he told me. A sailor off the coast of Ephesus heard a mysterious voice crying out to the shore. Tell them if the great god Pan has died. When humans heard these news, they believed it. They'd been pillaging Pan's kingdom ever since, but for the satyrs, Pan was our lord and master. He protected us from the wild places of the earth. We refused to believe he died. In every generation, the bravest satyrs pledged their lives to finding Pan. They searched the earth, exploring all the wildest places, hoping to find where he is hidden and wake him up from his sleep. And you want to be the searcher. It's my life's dream. My father was a searcher and my Uncle Ferdinand. The statue you saw back there. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. Grover shook his head. Uncle Ferdinand knew the risks. So did my dad. But I'll succeed. I'll be the searcher to return alive. Hang on. The first to return alive? Grover took his reed pipes out of his pocket. No searcher has ever come back. Once they set out, they disappear and they never come alive again. Sorry. None? Yeah. And your dad, you have no idea what happened to him? No idea. But you still want to go on this quest? I said, amazed. I mean, you really think you'll be the one to find this Pan? I have to believe so, Percy. Every searcher does. It's the only thing that keeps us from despair when we look at what humans did to the world. I have to believe Pan can still be awakened. I stared at the orange haze in the sky and tried to understand how Grover could pursue a dream that seemed so hopeless. Then again, was I any better? How are we going to get to the underworld? I asked him. I mean, what chance do we have against a god? I don't know. But back at Medusa's, when you were searching her office, Annabeth was telling me, oh, I forgot. Annabeth will have the plan all figured out. Don't be so hard on her, Percy. She's had a tough life, but she's a good person. After all, she forgave me. What do you mean, forgave you for what? Suddenly, Grover seemed very interested in playing notes on his pipes. What do you mean? What did Grover forgive you for? Suddenly, okay, sorry. Wait a minute, I said. Your first keeper job was 5 years ago. Annabeth had been at camp for 5 years. She hasn't, your first assignment that went wrong. I can't talk about it, Grover said, and his quivering lower lip suggested he'd start crying if I pressed him. But as I was saying, back in Medusa's, Annabeth and I agreed there's something strange going on with this quest. Something isn't what it seems. Well, duh, I'm getting blamed for stealing a thunderbolt that Hades took. That's not what I meant, Grover said. The kindly ones were sort of holding back, like Mrs. Dodds at Yancey Academy. Why did she wait so long to try to kill you? Then on the bus, they weren't so aggressive as they could have been. They seemed really aggressive to me. Grover shook his head. They were screeching at us. Where is it? Where? asking about me? I said, maybe, but Annabeth and I both got the feeling they weren't asking about a person. They were, what is it? They seemed to be asking about an object. That doesn't make sense. I know, but I've been misunderstanding something about this quest, and we only have 9 days to find the Master Bolt. He looked at me like he was hoping for answers, but I didn't have any. I thought about what Medusa had said. I was being used by the gods. What lay ahead of me was worse than petrification. I haven't been straight with you, I told Grover. I don't care about the Master Bolt. I agreed to go to the underworld so I could bring back my mother. Grover blew a soft note on the pipes. I know that, Percy. But are you sure that's the only reason? I'm not doing it to help my father. He doesn't care about me. I don't care about him. Grover gazed down at the tree branch. Look, Percy, I'm not as smart as Annabeth. I'm not as brave as you, but I'm pretty good at reading emotions. You're glad your dad is alive. You feel good that he claimed you, and part of you wants to make him proud. That's why you mailed Medusa's head to Olympus. You wanted him to notice what you did. Yeah, well, maybe satyr emotions work differently than human emotions because you're wrong. I don't care what my dad thinks about me. Grover pulled his feet onto the branch. Okay, Percy, whatever. Besides, I haven't done anything worth bragging about. We barely got out in New York, and now we're stuck here with no money and no way west. Grover looked at the night sky like he was thinking about the problem. How about I take first watch, huh? You go get some sleep. I wanted to protest, but he started to play Mozart, soft and sweet, and I turned away, my eyes singing. After the bars of Piano Concerto number 12, I was asleep. In my dreams, I stood in a dark cavern before a gaping pit. Gray mist creatures turned all around me, whispering rags of smoke that I somehow knew were the spirits of the dead. They tugged at my clothes, trying to pull me back, but I felt compelled to walk forward to the very edge of the chasm. Looking down made me dizzy. The pit yawned so wide and was so completely black, I knew it must be bottomless. Yet I had a feeling that something was trying to rise from the abyss, something big and evil. The little hero, an amused voice echoed far down in the darkness. Too weak, too young, but perhaps you will do. The voice felt ancient, cold, and heavy. It wrapped around me like sheets of lead. They have misled you, boy, it said. But with me, I will give you what you want. A shimmering image hovered over the void, my mother, frozen in the moment she dissolved into a shower of gold. Her face was distorted with pain, as if the Minotaur was squeezing her neck. Her eyes looked directly at me, pleading, Go! I tried to cry out, but my voice wouldn't work. Cold laughter echoed in the chasm. An invisible force pulled me forward. It would drag me into the pit unless I stood firm. Help me rise, boy! The voice became hungrier. Bring me the bolt, strike a blow against the treacherous gods. The spirits of the dead whispered around me. No, wake, wake. The image of my mother began to fade. The thing in the pit tightened its unseen grip around me. I realized it wasn't interested in pulling me in. It was using me to pull it out. Good, it murmured. Good. Wake, the dead whispered. Wake. Someone was shaking me. My eyes opened and it was daylight. Well, Annabeth said the zombie lives. I was trembling from the dream. I could still feel the grip of the chasm monster around my chest. How long was I asleep? Long enough for me to cook breakfast. Annabeth tossed me a bag of nacho-flavored corn chips from Auntie M's snack bar. And Grover went exploring. Look, he found a friend. My eyes had trouble focusing. Grover was sitting cross-legged on a blanket with something fuzzy in his lap. A dirty, unnaturally pink stuffed animal. No, it wasn't a stuffed animal. It was a pink poodle. The poodle yapped at me suspiciously. Grover said, No, he's not. I blinked. Are you talking to that thing? The poodle growled. This thing, Grover warned, is our ticket west. Be nice to him. You can talk to animals? Grover ignored the question. Percy, meet Glodiola. Glodiola, this is Percy. I stared at Annabeth, figuring she'd crack up at this practical joke they were playing on me, but she looked deadly serious. I am not saying hello to a pink poodle. I said, forget it. Percy, Annabeth said, I said hello to the poodle. You say hello to the poodle. The poodle growled. I said hello to the poodle. Grover explained that he'd come across Glodolia in the woods and they'd struck up a conversation. The poodle had run away from a rich local family who posted a $200 reward for his return. Glodolia didn't really want to go back to his family, but he was willing to if it meant helping Grover. How does Glodolia know about the reward? Well, he read the signs, Grover said. Duh. Of course, I said, silly me. So we turned in Gladolia, Annabeth explained the best strategy voice. We got money and we buy tickets to Los Angeles. Simple. I thought about my dream, the whispering voices of the dead, the thing in the chasm in my mother's face, shimmering and dissolved into gold, all that might be waiting for me in the West. Not another bus, I said warily. No, Annabeth agreed. She pointed downhill toward train tracks I hadn't been able to see last night in the dark. There's an Amtrak station half a mile away. According to Gladolia, the westward train travels at noon.